The iPhone 16 Pro Max is probably the best iPhone upgrade that I've ever made. And there are three major reasons for that I want to talk about in this video on why it's been such a game-changing upgrade for me, even though it might not necessarily be something that you want to upgrade to. But I know there are people who this will help, so that's why I made this video. So, backstory. My iPhone 15 Pro Max experience was mostly terrible. Like from day one, it was kind of okay, but it had a lot of software issues, and iOS 17 was pretty terrible for me. And I had terrible heat issues, terrible battery life issues, and I had terrible signal issues. So those are the three things that have fundamentally changed whenever it comes to the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So they made a couple of changes. One, they've changed up the heat management and done some internal reworkings with the phone to help out with the heat. And that alone has helped out tremendously. I haven't had the heat issues. My phone hasn't been heating up. It's gotten kind of warm once or twice whenever I've charged it, but otherwise, when I've used it, it hasn't really been an issue. It's nothing I've really noticed, as opposed to my 15 Pro Max, which was mostly like a flaming torch. Anytime I used it outside, if it got the sunshine on it whatsoever, and if I used it for anything for any extended period of time, even simply browsing around on the internet, like it would start getting hot. And then when I would charge it, it would get so hot sometimes, it would pop up with a message saying, phone needs to cool off before it can keep charging, because it would get so hot from charging, it would stop charging. So that was problematic. And I tried every charger under the sun. I even bought the official Apple charger, and it would still do it with that one, even with the 20-watt charger. So yeah, that has changed. I have not had those issues at all. And then when it comes to battery life, so I'm able to get over 9 hours of screen on time on this. And that means that a normal person will probably get even more than that. But it's funny when I look at these numbers and I talk about screen on time. I use my phones for a prolonged amount of time. I have the screen on a lot. I have the brightness up high. And I get it. You know, Apple changes the brightness all the time because they like to control your experience, just like they throttle down the 120 hertz. So it looks more choppy and it saves on battery, I guess. But yeah, ProMotion is not so pro. It's more like amateur motion. I think Samsung and Google do it a lot better. But anyway, I digress. So yes, whenever it comes to that part of the phone, when it comes to the battery life, it's been tremendously better. Like in the end days of my iPhone 15 Pro Max, using it for exactly 1 year, over 400 charge cycles, 87% overall battery health, and the battery it was like leaking like a sieve. And if I would record anything, even if I would record one of my like 15 minute videos at night and just to airdrop it to my laptop, I would lose like 15% easy. Using the camera was killing the battery. Using the phone on 5G was really killing the battery. And then when I would be outdoors, forget it. I mean, the combination between the phone getting hot, the battery life being terrible, poor signal issues, there were days I got 4.5 hours of screen on time. So enter stage left or right, whichever side of the screen this is. Yeah, I'm getting easily 8-9 hours of screen on time out of the iPhone 16 Pro Max now. And especially if it gets used on 5G. If I'm at home, the battery seemingly lasts forever. Now, there's something I've noticed when you go out on 5G, it does drop more drastically than I would expect it to, but it's still fine. I mean, it's still lasting me all day, but definitely there is a noticeable difference. And somebody else had commented about that as well. I'm like, yeah, there's a little bit of an anomaly. Like it definitely does drain more when you're on 5G out and about, and maybe it's because of the antenna or the modem, because I do believe it has the same modem as the S24 Ultra, which the S24 Ultra and the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 is basically the flagship when it comes to phones and modems and Android. So kudos to Apple for actually picking up a good modem and putting it in there. And then the other thing, we talked about battery, we talked about heat. The other issue is the signal. And I don't know what it was, even on iOS 18 beta, on iOS 17, anytime I would go from my garage into my house and it would go from my 5G connection and then pick up Wi-Fi, it would stop using the internet. Like nothing that required the internet would work anymore. And I would have to turn my signal off and turn it back on, or turn my Wi-Fi off and turn it back on just for it to work again. Or I would be in the house for like 5 or 10 minutes. I'm like, why is nothing loading on my phone? Everything seems like it should be working. And then I'd have to turn 5G, I'd turn Wi-Fi off, and it would kick on to my modem, and then everything would work fine. And my wife has experienced the same problem with her 15 Pro Max, and my son even complains about the same thing. And I've had 3 different routers. three different routers I've had since I got my iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I've got like a nice TP-Link, what is it, Wi-Fi 7, Wi-Fi 6E, Wi-Fi 6, like it's got all the bands. So yeah, the network coverage is terrible. Even now, like we'll go to this Mexican food restaurant down the street that I like to eat at, and my son and my wife, their phone basically is like dial-up internet, even though we've got 4 or 5 bars and we're in a very populated area, and mine works like a charm. Or even one of our favorite seafood restaurants that's on the south side of Houston I went to, Papa Seafood. If you're in Houston, go eat there. It's fantastic. I love their food, but I don't love their internet connection. And they even have like an open guest Wi-Fi because I think they know that their signal sucks there. And previously with my iPhone 15 Pro Max, it wouldn't do anything. I could barely get a text in it. I couldn't even do a tweet. The internet's so poor down there. So now with the new modem, with the iPhone 16 Pro Max, it works like a charm. Have no issues down there. My wife is actually jealous of that, but she doesn't want to change phones, which drives me crazy because I'm like, honey, you have an iPhone 14 Pro Max. We have like 3 installment payments left on your phone. You could totally go get a new one and it'll cost me the same amount every month, or you can have mine. Or I'll get you one. I'll go buy one at the Apple stores. No big deal. She's like, no, I like this one. I'm perfectly fine with it. It's not that big of a deal. I just connect to Wi-Fi, or, I can use your hotspot if I need to. I'm like, I don't know how you're okay with this stuff, because I would be down at the store tomorrow getting a new phone. Not even tomorrow. I'd like pitch a tent. So yes, the signal and Wi-Fi issues have dramatically improved for me with the 16 Pro Max. Battery life has hugely improved. And then on top of that, I'm not having the issues with heat like I was with the 15 Pro Max. So here comes the whole, okay, should you buy one? Well, maybe, maybe not. And you're probably thinking, okay, Adam, Tech Odyssey, how'd you just tell me all these things are better, and then you're telling me maybe I shouldn't upgrade? Well, apparently not everybody experiences those issues with the iPhone 15 series phones, especially the Pros, like I did. I had a terrible experience with mine. It was really, really bad. And there are other people out there who have had in the comments, because I made a video before saying that the iPhone 15 Pro Max had terrible signal and Wi-Fi. And then I get a slew of people in the comments who are like, yes, mine too. Why is nobody talking about this? And then in equal measure, I have the people, the Apple fans, come out in force and go, no, you guys are crazy. You're holding it wrong. You're lying. You're making this up to make Apple look bad. You just hate Apple, so you're saying that, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Blech. Like the crazy, like people are crazy. So yes, there was a whole lot of that going on. And I get it. There's a lot of people whose phones probably work great. And there's a lot of different factors: location, network, signal, what band you're using, what carrier you're using. There's a lot of different things that influence how your network connectivity works. There are things that influence how your signal works. And a lot of that can even trickle down and cause issues for the battery. It's not going to affect the charging, but yeah, there have been people, I know a lot of people who've had issues with the battery. And it's funny because when the phones first came out, it was like this whole heat scandal. It was Applegate 45, it was the latest and greatest. Oh, the iPhones are overheating. They're getting super hot. And it's true. A lot of people are having that. And then Apple issued a software update for iOS 17, and supposedly it fixed some of that stuff. And it seemed like it got better for a little bit. And then it's like it came back in full force and it was worse than ever. And I was just continually having problems. So if you're in the camp that I was in and your iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max sucks and you had all those issues, yes, you're a prime candidate to update or upgrade if you feel like trusting Apple with your money again. But as much as I don't like Apple and I carry one of these phones around at a necessity, but also, here's the thing. And I don't dislike iPhones. I dislike Apple and their way of doing business, and I dislike crazy Apple sycophants. But the hardware itself, I largely don't have any problems with. It works well. It does what it's supposed to. Granted, yeah, they're behind the times. It pisses me off. The iPhone 16 still has a 60 hertz refresh rate, 2 cameras, no always on display. Yeah, that stuff irks me because I'm a value-oriented person, and when I look at what you're getting for $829, it's just not up to par with what else is out there. But they work really well. They sell almost 100 million phones a year, and I make a living using one of their phones recording my videos. So yeah, I don't hate their phones. I just don't like Apple. I don't like the way they do business. So I always have to clarify that because everyone's like, you hate Apple, you hate iPhones. I'm like, I don't hate iPhones. I don't like Tim Cook and Apple. That's what I don't like. The products, they're mostly okay. People like them. That's fine. Use what you enjoy. And yeah, I try to critique them as fairly as I do any other brand. I mean, I'm harsh on Google, I'm harsh on Samsung, I'm harsh on everybody. Like I said in the previous video, I'm an equal opportunity hater. But I also give credit where credit is due whenever I notice it and I think that it's applicable. And yeah, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, it's been a good experience for me. And it's funny because I've actually been an advocate for the camera control, saying quit griping and complaining about it. At least it's something new. And everybody's like, it's the same, it's the same, it's the same. They gave us something new, and then everybody complains about that. Like, I feel like Apple fans are probably some of the worst in the world. And I'm probably going to offend some of you, and I don't care. But when you talk about the phones, everyone's like, it's exactly the same. I mean, we get that same meme that pops up every year with a dude in a flannel shirt holding up another flannel shirt. We're like, oh, the new iPhone. It's true. They do that. And Samsung does that in a lot of ways too. And so do a lot of other brands. But everybody craps all over them because they don't change anything, and then they add something new, and people are like, it's not good enough. It sucks. What were they thinking? Oh, this is terrible. Don't give them credit for this. This doesn't count. I'm like, it's better than a lot of other phones have done. So I mean, I'm always happy when we get new stuff. So I'm sure it'll get better over time. I think they missed a big opportunity to turn it into a Touch ID sensor. That would have made me incredibly happy. I love the action button. That's something that they came out with the iPhone 15 Pro series. It's now on all the iPhone 16s. I like that they got rid of the notch. Dynamic Island, I think it still takes up too much space, but it's getting better. And that's just an Apple-ism thing that we have to deal with. USB-C. Yeah, it's a good phone. If you want to get a new iPhone and you're in the market for a Pro Max series phone, it's going to be a fantastic phone for you. If you don't like Apple and you want to complain about it, then get an Android phone, right? That's why we have choice. That's why this different stuff exists. This is not a sales video for Apple. I don't get affiliate sales for any of this stuff, and I just spend a bunch of my money buying these things. So, yes, the phone is good. It's been tremendously helpful in those areas for me, which is why I say if you have those problems with the 15 Pro Max and otherwise enjoyed the phone, then go get one because it fixes all those problems. At least it has for me. And it's been a big game-changing experience difference for me. However, again, if you have a good, perfectly working 15 Pro Max, there's nothing really here worth upgrading to that I think is worth spending that much money year over year. And you're going to get the Apple Intelligence features, so you're good. They didn't really fundamentally change the camera experience, especially not on the 15 Pro Max. So, yeah, ride it out for another year or two. Because like they say, it looks the same. It's the same phone every year, right? And I guess there's a split decision on how people feel about the touch controls. But yeah, much better. And of course, you got the 50% better ceramic shield. Supposed to be slightly better battery life, better heat management because of the thermal stuff they put on the inside. And they've made some changes that otherwise improved the performance. Still, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, still $1199, 256 baseline storage. And that's all well and good. And they kept the screen the same. The cameras are mostly the same. Like, a lot of the important stuff I normally rant about is mostly the same. But the experience and the battery life, the better signal, the better heat management has been huge for me. So that's all I got. I'm going to quit gushing about my iPhone 16 Pro Max because, I'm a converted iPhone fan now, right? Not really. Anyway, so yeah, that's all I got. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, gripes, complaints, think that I'm lying, think that Apple paid me, of course, go to the comments section. We'll hash it out and I'll insult your mom. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys next time.